That's what you're sitting. I remember when I didn't say that. It really has, yeah. Feel mine.
We need four.
You know, we need them.
Permanent votes for,
Maybe if we get somebody on Zoom who could call.
Yeah, I can send an email to the group.
Well, pick up emails from one time.
Yeah,
You could do a recess appointment.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Good idea. Good idea.
except it won't count.
Just one more.
Sounds like city policy.
yeah,
Then put you in the band down by the river.
that's, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, it's gonna be hilarious. We're going down to Bangor, right?
I picture a day.
For 2 years, 18 months, yeah.
City employees walking down Powell.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, we'll be meeting there too for 2 years. Well, remember when the library was being expanded, they people were thinking, I don't know why.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think so.
That worked, I mean.
It's okay.
One spirit out there still. It's there.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, yeah. So anyway. That was my first year with that.
You know, what year was it? I asked him for his, Julie. For the same.
Yeah, Sarah didn't send that out today. I'm not sure why.
But you're definitely, there was a time. Cities had. different sizes, large
Oh, I see.
libraries, but now we would be behind. So many of the academic libraries.
So what are we gonna do? The Bangor Historical Society is having an
Well, so
event.
that's a good
The
question.
Weldon
Where are
Permits
most,
up at Fenway,
in terms
with
of
the
collection size,
gymnasium up at
they
the
have
center.
staff,
Logs and
they have
the gyms,
two branches.
gonna be
But, in terms of collection size.
a lot of.
we're staff.
Yeah, what, so there's speakers or is it?
There's awards are given out to individuals for the preservation work. I think they even have a
Right.
recognizes some of the people.
Very much, it's a great group of people and.
Contributions. So that,
A lot of different
the tickets get you
ways.
board, you get drinks.
The library, or certified library, just like a.
If you go to Bangor Historical Society, you can see that describes the event.
But how would you, I'm only knowing about it because you're telling me.
Yeah.
How would else?
Matt put a lot of information about it on the Facebook page, because that's where I saw it. Yeah,
Facebook, just go to Bangor.
It's on the back.
yeah, their Facebook page. Oh, yeah, we can, or he can, if he just goes on to the Zoom, we can move him over. If he just goes on to the city Zoom. If you go to the city's webpage, and you open up the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. You can, the Zoom link is right there. And then we'll just move them over.
Saved. the very last moment. Oh my gosh.
You count, and the twins' brains, that would, you'd have enough.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Joe, but.
Yeah.
Is an entirely different world.
It's a lot going on. Yeah.
It was 700 traveling people. to come to Valley.
But it was a good game.
Bill Bold,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Roy.
I know.
When I
He
go to
has
the-
to explain why.
Right.
when I go to the commission.
Oh, no, no, it's on the front page. It's on the, if you go to the home page and you go to public meetings and events and you hit Historic Preservation Commission, there's a pop-up that comes and it'll say to access this meeting through Zoom. Yeah, Cody, do we have any members online that we could bring over as panelists? Yeah, he could be a panelist. Nathaniel can, yep,
Hey, can you hear me?
yep. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I apologize. I won't lie. It completely slipped my mind that I had family coming into town. So I am so sorry. I'm in the parking lot of an Olive Garden.
All right, well, thank you, Nathaniel. We really need you here for our forum, so we appreciate you breaking away from your family. I'm gonna get us started. Good evening. Welcome to the October 19th meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. My name is Liam Reardon, Chair of the Commission. Also here tonight are Anne Marie Quinn, to my left. Sorry. So welcome to the October 19th meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. My name is Liam Reardon, Chair of the Commission. To my left is Anne Marie Quinn. To my right is Edmund Chernovsky. And fourth member today, Nathaniel King, is joining us on Zoom. And then we are also joined by Ann Krieg from the City Planning Office and our consultant, Mike Pollan. Tonight, we have one item on the agenda, which is a certificate of appropriateness for the Bangor Public Library. I'll just remind you that items considered under that provision require 4 affirmative votes to be approved. And since you have been here before and are familiar with the routine, I think we can skip over the opening explanatory material, other than to remind you, you have the option to withdraw your application before a vote if you choose to, and then you could resubmit without having to pay the application fee again. And anything that would get approved tonight the expectation is the project would start within a year, and if not, you would have to come back to us again. So I think those are the essential parameters to remind you of. And if one of you wants to come to the podium and make sure the green light is on, you can remind us of where we stand. I saw you
Sure.
also responded to the Mike's suggestions.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
you can bring us up to speed on all that.
sure. So last time,
I think we like you to introduce yourself as well.
okay, my name's Nathaniel Russ. I work on the maintenance team at the library. So last time we gave the proposal of, so we need a new back door. That goes right into the maintenance area. The initial design that we gave you guys, it called for replacing the current door with a much thinner door that had a side light, like a side light window. And that people didn't really like that much at all. And so we got another proposal. They were able to accommodate the things that you guys were worried about, like the width of the door, which is something we also think is important. So we can replace it. The new proposal we have is we can replace the current door with a door the exact same width, same exact size, no side light. It would have a center window, just like the current one does. It would be aluminum metal door, which is kind of important to us for security reasons. And so we may not have to revisit this, not too far down the road. We'd like it to be able to last for quite a while. We'd like a security, like a punch-in key lock. So it's less difficult to break in, it's more secure. So the new door would include that. It would include a heavy duty door closer like the one we have now does. Yeah, so it would be, and it would have sort of the current wooden door. I don't know exactly what you would call this, but it has kind of the recessed panels underneath the window. The new aluminum door would have that also. It would have one singular recessed panel. So really, the new door, it would look size-wise, it would be identical. So then we gave that proposal, and Mr. Pullen put forward a couple of concerns that he had. So I emailed the first proposal with a color chart, and I noticed that in the color chart, when it went through the email, if it were to be printed out, the color of the sample that I gave you guys showed up a lot lighter than the actual color sample that we have. So I brought the actual color sample with a sample of the current, with a sample of what we have currently for the color. And do you guys want to
That's
pass
great.
it around?
Thanks very much. Perfect.
Circle, can you see colors match up pretty much identical? The
Colonial white, it is more of like a beige. And I know that in the thing I sent over, it looked white. It probably looked very white. So it's pretty much an exact match. Another concern that you had mentioned was the width of the muntins, or yeah. So with the company we're going through, PDQ Door, that's what they're able to get. They're not able to get with the factory finish, because they can get the factory finish and the color matching, the width, the size, everything. The muntins that they are going to be able to provide are going to be a little thicker than the ones we have now, or substantially thicker. And I know that, that is a bit of a concern. What I would put forward is that the muntins on the windows above and to the side are much thicker than the ones now on the door. So there's maybe like an 1.5 inch difference there. And so all we would do is thicken the muntins on the door. And so the muntins on the door would be thicker than the muntins on the windows around. So it would kind of be the same variation of width. And I actually simulated what it would look like. And I don't know if you guys wanted to take a look at that. I sort of simulated what the thicker muntins. And we think it really, this door, it really, you cannot see it from street level. But I just think the difference in muntin width is, it doesn't catch the eye as looking not good. I think it still looks really good. And it would be true divided light. They can do that with the true divided light.
All right. Thanks, Nathaniel, for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
presentation. And I also want to thank you for responding to Mike's queries and providing this
Yeah.
additional material. Is terrific to see
Sure.
the color and to see the modeling of the muntins.
yeah,
I think that, we're very happy with the redesign of the door. I think
Mhm.
the wider door without the side light is a big improvement.
Yep,
And
yep.
we appreciate that you've made some effort to make it mirror the kind of style of the other
Yeah,
doors.
yeah.
And I think the sample you gave clarifies that the color is appropriate.
Mhm.
So, I think the thing we might want to dig into a little bit more are the muntins and what sort of other options there might be for that. And that's the kind of thing I turn to Mike Pullen for and ask for some guidance.
Can I just mention real quick that another option we could, the company's willing to do is to not have any muntins at all, is to just have
Glass.
a clear, it would be a thick double planed security glass, but
What I'm passing around now, again, I would reiterate what Liam said. Thank you for paying attention, getting the door widths to what they should be. The color looks very close to what's there on the existing windows and doors, so good job there. The muntins are right now are probably maybe 1.25 inch,
yeah,
existing.
Yep.
And to jump to a 3 3/8 is a big difference. And you did a good job rendering what that change would look like. It does make the door look to me immediately like a jail door, like a high security door. But I wanted to just share this with the commission and with you, so you see it. What PDQ, I think the doors I saw were Oldcastle, maybe that's a big company for
Mhm.
aluminum doors. They're very fine company too. There are people out there that make profiled aluminum muntins for simulated divided lights, just like what we're talking about.
Mhm.
They come in a lot of different shapes, like it's on the second page there. So I would leave it to the commission. The issue here is going to be to get, and those they would apply with a tape on the outside and on the inside. So it kind of looks like looks like a true divided light when you're done.
You're saying PDQ door would do that, or this company?
PDQ door would probably install those after these doors come in, all
Okay.
prepped and ready to go.
Okay.
They would then apply one of these. So I would ask you as the applicant through your vendor to check out Frontline or some other company that can do this. And what you see on the first page basically is the application of narrow muntins on a historic replacement window. Now, the issue is going to be to get the coloration to look just like that. And what they've done in the past is that they can take it to an auto body shop and they can spray paint it to match a color. So that's, if you can't get it, and they probably can't get it in the exact, what was it, colonial white or whatever?
yeah.
Colonial white color, maybe they can, I don't know. But I would say the commission has two options. One, to either require the applicant to install a putty glaze profile similar to what's there now on the door, or go without muntins at all. I think that's your two options. The rest of it looks fine to me. So,
Great.
okay.
So let me turn to the rest of the commission. Any questions or other issues you have with this application?
Requiring what my business private. Get applied after. Oh, I'm sorry. Ann,
No, that's
thank you.
okay. Just making sure.
Thank you. I think what Mike suggests, which is to have the muntins installed after the door, after the clear window is put in. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the
Sounds-
good news is these are square cut. The frames are all square. So these wouldn't have to be profiled in any special way. They could be square cut when they're installed.
We could definitely do that.
So
You want me to move? that?
Well, let's,
Mm-hmm.
any other questions for the commission right now? All right, I'm gonna open the public hearing. If anyone is in the public audience who has a question or comment, now is the time. Joe, do you want to speak to this issue? Okay.
Ditto.
All right, so Joe Pickering spoke in
lengthy-
support of the application. So I think what I'm gonna, so I'm gonna close the public hearing now and turn to any additional discussion among the commissioners. And what I'm gonna, I think what a good way forward here might be that we could vote to approve the existing or take a vote on the existing application. And then as the library figures out the two vendors and can they combine, they could submit that as a minor alteration, which does not need to come before the board. And we could just sign, the city staff and myself check that it meets our expectations and we could go forward that way.
Sounds great.
Is that
That seems fine for me.
all right? So if someone wants to make a motion along those lines, we can,
Motion to approve the application and issue the certificate of appropriateness for the installation of the door with the caveat that the muntins, it'll be installed without muntins or muntins that match the specifications that we are looking for divided light as far as width is concerned. Or to be installed afterwards.
I second that one.
all right, so we're going to take a roll call vote. Edmund,
Yes.
Emery,
Yes.
Nathaniel,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. So that's 4 in the affirmative. The application is passed and I hope we'll see the issue resolved in a timely manner and you'll have a nice door that'll work for you better. So thanks a lot for coming back and thanks again for your care in redesigning and bringing that to us. So terrific.
Thank you for all the work.
Yeah, so just to be clear, you want the muttons to match the windows that will still be there? Or do you want it to match the muttons that are there right now, which are thinner than the muttons on the windows?
I'd suggest you match the ones that are existing on the door.
Okay, yeah, thinner ones.
As close as you can.
Okay.
Best
Great.
fit.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Is there
Yeah.
a sample piece of wood?
Oh, yeah, it's all here.
Oh, great, great, great.
So
Thanks so much.
Nathaniel, I
you.
think that is the one voting item we have. So if you have family in town, I think maybe we'll take a vote on the minutes and then we could excuse Nathaniel since I think we might need the 4 votes on the minutes. So we're going to move slightly out of the order of the agenda. And I would look for a motion to approve the August minutes, I believe they were.
Approve the August minutes.
Second.
All right.
Now, I was not at the August meeting, so should I still vote on the minutes?
That is a good question.
You can show it as an abstention, then that's fine. It's,
You
it
can
doesn't affect
abstain,
the
and I think
quorum,
3 is all
right.
we need. So, Edmund, how do you vote?
Yes.
Nathaniel, how do you vote?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Anne Marie,
I should abstain because I was not at the meeting.
perfect. 3 affirmative, 1 abstained. I think that approves the minutes from August. So we are gonna turn to a discussion about the new construction design guidelines in historic districts, and Mike has a presentation for us.
we can do this twice. I mean, you've only got a few people here tonight, but I can do it tonight and I can do it at the next meeting, the end of the next one, if other folks show up.
Oh, yeah.
What do you
It's
think?
up to you.
Or we can postpone it till the next meeting, if you think more people will be here. Or
Well, I think
doesn't
it
matter.
does make sense to do it with more people, and I think Nathaniel does deserve to go back to his family being in town.
Yes, yes, he
So,
does.
Nathaniel, go ahead and log off. We appreciate
Yeah.
you scrambling and allowing us to
Yeah.
resolve the issue with the library.
This was an off-schedule meeting.
My apologies for everything. Thank you so
Nope.
much.
Great.
Okay.
Have a good
catch you
night.
Later.
Yeah, that's a
Dude,
good,
bye.
So we'll have this as, even if there isn't other agenda items, is it okay if we still have a November meeting for this purpose?
Sure.
Okay,
Sure. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
at your regular date.
Mike, do you want to just give us the quick 2 cents about
Well-
what's coming up?
I can run through it if you'd like.
Yeah.
Quickly for you guys, if you've
I
got, it
know we
won't
didn't
take but
expect to do it
20
this
minutes. So
no
can we bring up that PowerPoint? Hopefully I'll be close enough so I can read it.
Hmm.
All right. So what we've got,
Guess he's gonna review it.
okay, we good?
Yeah.
And so all I have to do is say, change slide when I'm.
Yes.
Okay, well, Anne asked if I would do a presentation, just generally talking about, because the commission has not had the opportunity to review a lot of new construction in historic districts. So it's a different part of your ordinance that deals with it. It's still in section 148. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. But here we see an example of Bangor in 1875 in that hand-colored aerial view that you see, a piece of Bangor. And here you see Bangor in 1836. The point is, communities like Bangor evolve over time. There's an evolution, and that evolution is usually pegged to the needs, the immediate needs and the perceived needs of the community. So Bangor and other parts of the state and other parts of the country are going to be experiencing greater activity, especially within the historic districts, to enable things like accessory dwelling units. So we're going to touch on that at the end. So, but I basically say here that Bangor, the Historic Preservation Commission applies its design standards to evaluate appropriate changes within Bangor's 9 historic districts. Next slide. See how well that works? Okay. So we're going to talk, these are just topics that I'm going to cover. The Preservation Ordinance, Chapter 148, the purpose of what that is for. The Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation that you're all familiar with and have had tattooed on your backs. And the evaluation standards for new buildings and structures in historic districts. Next. So I'm just going to read these off, but in the very beginning of your ordinance, there's a thing called statutory authority. That's the purpose of what the ordinance is for. And in this case, it's to assure that new buildings or structures constructed in neighborhoods and districts of historic or architectural value are designed and built in a manner that is compatible with the character of the neighborhood or district. That's the language. Next slide. Goes on to say that an approval, a certificate of appropriateness is required for new construction of a principal or accessory building or structure visible from a public street. When I first read that, it was like, really? So if it's not visible from a public street, you may have an argument that you don't have to be as compliant. Where such building or structure will be located in an historic district. Next slide. Goes on to say that what's required of those applications and what we saw recently in an application, I'm not going to cite exactly which one it was, but it was a new building in a historic district. And this should have been provided with that, which it wasn't necessarily. Architectural plans that were drawn to scale, a site plan, this is critical. A site plan showing the building in the relationship to property lines and adjacent buildings, that was absent. So it made it difficult to review that in its impact on adjacent properties. And if the project is an alteration of existing exterior features, then the applicant must submit a site plan which shows the building's exterior features. In this case, it was a new standalone couple of structures. Next slide. The Secretary of the Interior Standards, which are the national standards that are also in your ordinance, referred to in your ordinance, say standard number 9 says clearly, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work will be differentiated, and that's an important term that I want to talk about a little bit, will be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. What they're saying there and what they support in terms of differentiated is that they do not want a mimic or a copy of a historic building to be going in place because it's confusing to anybody that views then that district thereafter to where the district ended and where new work might have been introduced. So that's an important thing to remember. So next slide. The construction of the new building or structure within a historic district shall be generally of such design, form, proportion, mass. This is in your ordinance. Configuration, building material, texture, and location on the lot will be compatible with other buildings in the historic district and with the adjacent streets and open spaces and in keeping with the area. So I'm going to have some slides here in a moment that explain what some of that means. Next slide. So, and it concludes by saying all new construction and all new additions in the historic to any historic landmark or any building or structure in a historic district shall be compatible with the surrounding historic district and building or structure which it is altering in terms of the following factors. And this is in your ordinance. This is how the commission will review each application. Next slide. Building height. That's the first thing that you're considering. You're going to compare what's being proposed against what is considered compatible. So here's two examples on the right. I borrowed these pretty heavily from actually the city of Albany, New York's historic districts, historic standards. So as it says here, the building height should be within the range of heights of area buildings. Step larger buildings down to smaller buildings in the front if that helps to make that massing a little more compatible. And avoid, as they show in the bottom illustration, construction that greatly varies in height from the buildings in the same block. So they have to prove that. The applicant has to, all of these items need to be proven to the commission that they are compliant and compatible. Okay. Next slide. Building scale and proportion. That speaks about the proportion of the building, the width and the height of the front elevation of the building, which is considered the most important, the front and side. And proportion of the width and height of the windows and doors. So as you can see in the upper example, they've paid a bit of attention to that middle building, which has windows that appear to be more vertical, rectangular, and down below is an example of one that clearly doesn't consider compatibility in any way. So it says avoid buildings that are too large or too small in scale or massing to adjacent buildings. This last application had an accessory dwelling unit sort of structure in the back that was intended to kind of mimic or replace a structure that was there previously. The applicant should have tried to make a comparison to what the scale of that was previously to what was being proposed. Next slide. The rhythm and the relationship of the solids and voids in the front facade. Solids and voids pertain to fenestration, windows and doors, the voids, and everything else around it is the solid. So the pattern of that, the rhythm and the relationship of that pattern is an important thing for the commission to consider. And again, this proof will have to be made by the applicant that they've matched that. It says avoid odd window and door shapes and sizes that lack the rhythm in their placement. Next slide. Rhythm and relationship of the building in the open space between it and the adjoining buildings. This is where a site plan would be very helpful, and elevations that clearly show here's the adjacent building, here's another adjacent existing building, and here's what's happening in between. And it's compatible and it meets the standards that the commission's reviewing by. Next slide. The rhythm and relationship of entrances and porch projections to sidewalks and streets, that has to do with setback of the structure. So as you can see in the example up above, they say this, not this. And that's very important because when you look at Bangor, and this little graphic here is from a Sanborn map of Bangor back around 1920, and you can see up and down the streets, there's very little variation between the setbacks from the front property line and the right-of-way to the face of the buildings, whether that's a porch or the front of the house. Isn't that exactly true? When you ride up and down those street trees, you can almost sight a surveyor's transit straight down the street. So if somebody is to push something way back, it's not going to be compatible in that degree. So next slide. Okay, materials and textures of the facade of the building. This happens to be a building in Bangor that I love that's very textured. You can see that buildings that in that neighborhood might want to begin to explore ideas of texture that begin to be compatible with what's going on. Not to be strictly taking it back to a historic look like a building like this. Again, they want these to be differentiated to some degree. Okay. So next slide. The roof shape, this is really critical. The roof shape and the orientation of the building, that's whether the gable is to the street or not, very often buildings are similar to the gable one in the center with the gable to the road to the right-of-way side of the property. When you change that up too much, you get into something that that can be incompatible with neighborhood structures. So these are just a variety of various roof types. The jerkin head is not that last one is not very popular in this area. It's a German detail, really. And you do see it in some communities as you're riding along, so. Yeah, probably, yeah. Next slide, please. So the directional expression of the front facade, such as vertical or horizontal, here we have a Second Empire building, extremely vertical. They stressed all the details of the building to be vertical. If you were to put a horizontal house like this, rather prairie style sort of bungalow style house next to it, you would have incompatibility in terms of relationships of that front facade, vertical and horizontal. Next slide, please. And mechanical equipment that we've seen this in some cases where we have to be careful about where those things get located. More and more, we're going to see solar panels being introduced. We've had a couple of projects that came to the commission that featured those in a good way. The ones that were put on the roof of a commercial building coming across the bridge, I just noticed the other day, and I'd never noticed them. So they've been in there for a while. I'm just noticing them now. So what they're saying is when you have an opportunity to review those, the ideal thing is to move that equipment that's rather incompatible with what's going on in the district to the backyard if possible. So this, not this. Next slide, please. So here's an interesting point. When we talk about accessory dwelling units, which you're going to be seeing more and more of, and the reason we're seeing more and more of it is you can see the decline in family household sizes from, I think, the 1940s. We were at about 3.7 per household. We're barely at 2.6 here now. So big differences there. So to maintain large properties, large buildings and such that may have some vacancy within those, you may in a historic district be seeing some activity to develop accessory dwelling units either within the L of the house, the carriage house, other parts of the property. So we haven't seen a lot of it yet, but it could be coming because the state and the city of Bangor are actually trying to promote more accessory dwelling units. They must meet the same standards, that we just spoke about in terms of new structures within a historic district. ADUs area, I think this may be the city's ordinance, and I'm not sure. I think has to be less than 50% of the principal dwelling or
Yep,
1,000 square feet
right.
maximum.
That was the requirement we put in.
And a maximum height is 25 feet on that. So,
Mm.
Next slide, please. So in Bangor, and correct me Ian if I got this wrong, but ADUs are allowed in at least the urban residential district 1 and 2 and the MNSD districts. I don't know of any others that they're permitted in. I think that was it.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yep.
Because it's basically where there's single family
Single,
dwellings.
right?
Yeah.
So the light tans, you can kind of scan across Bangor to see the various zones. But I think the lightest tan might have been URD 1, and then the next darker orange or tan color is URD 2, which is higher density, slightly higher density.
And what does MNSD stand for?
Multi-family and service district.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
good to have Ian here tonight.
Uh-huh.
So you can see that could apply to an awful lot of the city. I don't have the overlay districts on here, the historic districts, but as you know, we covered the city with 9 different districts in Bangor. So ADUs may not be located in the front of the lot. That has to do, and that's the cities, that's language from the city's planning ordinance, which basically says that that they need to be at least back beyond the setback of the front of the house or building that's there. And ADUs can be contained in the principal dwelling below finished grade, like a basement type structure occupancy. But in that case, they must have a daylight entry. So we may or may not be seeing much of that in existing historic buildings. Next slide, please. So this is the shape that ADUs can come in. They can be detached, they can be attached, they can be above the garage, they can be in the basement, they can be in the attic space. So all of those, and maybe others, could apply to where an ADU could be located. And the only reason I'm bringing this to your attention is that you're going to be seeing some action on this, I think, in the next few years. Next slide, please. So here's ADAs come in various forms. Again, here's one that happens to be the classic maybe mother-in-law's apartment up above the garage. So it was very common. And it actually is a good thing because it also ADUs allow the exchange of property to occur. Like elders may decide that they're going to downsize and they need to move into whatever the sons or daughters, a garage above the garage, whatever. And then that frees up other real estate for transactions, you know, because right now what we're hearing from realtors is it's very stubborn right now. Nobody can afford to sell their houses and buy something new because everyone's rather stuck. Nobody's moving with the interest rates the way they are anyway, but that sort of thing does encourage the transfer of real estate.
Mike, is the 25-foot height limit, is that going to become problematic for the kind of over the garage
It could.
design?
It
Yeah.
could. That's a good point. They would have to prove it. The applicant would have to come in and say, you know, to that peak of that is 23.5 feet or whatever. So that usually, I mean, we usually figure about 9 feet floor to floor. So you could have a ground floor, you could have an upper floor above that, and then have a roof. Now, the pitch of the roof, if the pitch of the roof had to be lowered so that it wasn't compatible, that's a good case for making an argument that, you know, that standard is a little bit strict. So, depending how that would add. But that garage looks like it's probably less than 25, I would say.
And just because I have it on my mind, having seen the earlier parts of these slides, let's say that this particular building came to us as a new construction of the garage in the historic district. I would say that the roof is different and the windows are different.
Yeah,
So those would be the kinds of things we might ask them to
yeah.
reconsider.
You could, yes, you could. Whether that existed as a garage, you know, with storage above it, I don't know. I have no
Right,
idea.
I'm just like,
Yeah, no, but you're right. The roof is different. It's a gable, looks like a hip roof on the other one and hip dormers. So yeah, it's a good point. You would probably deny this application.
but if they put hip dormers in, they get
Yeah,
up
there
to
you go.
25
Yeah.
feet too.
There- That's it. All right, next slide, please. So we're hearing a lot about teeny homes, and here, this is maybe a good example of an ADU detached on a property. They don't have to take up a lot of space. This one is 574 square feet. It says it's about a quarter of the size of the main house. In Maine, I think a teeny home is defined as anything under 400 square feet or less. So those are really teeny. So this wouldn't even be classified a teeny home in Maine, but it's just maybe perfectly suited for a couple, an elder couple or something, or a starter home for some folks that are not going to have kids, whatever. And that could be compatible with in Bangor, depending on where it's located. Yep, next slide, please. So I think that's it. Again, Albany's Historic Districts and Neighborhoods, great resource for me. Used a lot of stuff from that. Surprisingly, AARP has a website that covers a lot of information about ADUs and why they're important and how they can fit into the scale of communities. So stay tuned, maybe seeing some action on that stuff.
Great, thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're welcome.
it.
And then what about the why?
So, item of new business that is not on our agenda that Anne Marie wants to call our attention to. So I'm going to give her the floor to share this idea.
Thank you. So I received a phone call from a neighbor pointing out the fact that Wilfred Manser was the architect for the old YMCA. And So part of it was torn down and then clad with that modern brick facade. So her question to me was, is there any possibility now that it's for sale? And by the way, maybe it's already been sold. Does anybody know?
And
Becau-
when I was back down in private property,
I don't know.
I think so.
Oh,
That's where it went. I don't know, this was quite a while.
Yeah.
oh,
Now I think they may be trying to sell it.
I think I saw a for sale sign on it.
Oh, you're talking about the old Y.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about the,
No, I'm talking about the.
Oh,
old one,
okay.
The original one. So her request was, could it be considered to keep the very oldest part that was never torn down? And call that historic, because it is historic, and just not demolish it.
Please.
The building that was here originally was an amazing building.
I know it was.
Gorgeous building, very much missed and dangles in the street. But the portion that was removed by the minor part in the back, which I remember was a separate entrance to the side of the building.
Mhm.
It doesn't stand alone, it's a piece of quality historic, of course.
Okay,
Because I'll tell you why, was, there were two additions put on, one in the back was probably done earlier, that's the pool building,
mhm.
that jammed up against it. And then the other one in front in the seventies, matched up against it that way.
I know.
So if you're looking for that little piece of historic building that's left, kind of have to go about halfway around Court Street, around the building, and you'll see a little sliver of old brick.
Oh,
And
okay,
unfortunately, even if you took those modern parts off.
okay, thank you. Okay, thanks.
It's sad. It was beautiful.
It was so beautiful. Mm. Mm. Anyway, oh,
And
well,
was it a commercial building? What was the?
It was the white.
it was a Y.
Oh, it was a Y. It was built, purpose built as a Y.
Oh, it was a Victorian style, a beautiful turret above the entrance.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And then we carved out the recessed entrance to it with radiating stairs that went up to the. It's really special.
Was.
I did tour the newer building.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Well, I think that takes us through our agenda items. We've already approved the minutes. Joe, you're in the audience. Perhaps want to share something with us?
This is the two things.
Oh.
Bangor permits 60-unit subdivision in error. Planning board miscalculates the size of the project and did not was explicitly outline its reasons for improving the permit. And then there's the other one, housing crisis. I really think that the housing crisis, it's related to, part of it's related to homelessness. And let me tell you, I know a little bit about that, and we're trying to get a law passed that will have an impact on some of it. And I worked years to try to get housing for those who have serious brain disorders. That's one of the things. But the second thing is, I think that the timing is very important. And I know that the planning staff work very, very hard. And it's so damn complex. But I really feel that the citizens of Bangor get a bit, these are my own words, but jammed with trying to give input And I'm not sure how much people are really hearing or heeding. I attended the commission meeting. And honestly, I think it's that short-term housing is very complex, and I'm not necessarily, I think some of it's necessary. It just requires further thought. And I think we're going to be filled with lawsuits if we don't do even more in-depth giving more time to reflect on these things. I think that I'm concerned about the Historic District Commission, and I'm concerned about the city of Bangor. And why? Because it doesn't hold itself accountable. How so? It does not value the historic districts, or at least some of the historic districts. It values some elements of the historic district. It focuses on the planning thinking is focused on the buildings, little parts of the buildings, which is necessary. And it also now is focused on building new buildings, the ADUs, which is also can be appropriate. But what about the idea of you folks thinking about your role, which is, at least from what I understand and what I think the city is, and I think what the planning group should be, is how do we plan to renovate some of the buildings both within the city, and I know that there's a lot going on, but within the historic district, to save them from rotting away. So you don't have to have lives endangered. And who had that? The city of Bangor owned this beautiful historic building. And unfortunately, what happened was they had to take it over because the person, the family couldn't afford it. But for the longest period of time, the city allowed it to be rotted away. Where was the historic district? It did. What'd you say? It was right next door. And what happened? What happened? Oh, I offered, okay. What happened was a homeless person moved in. There was a fire at I don't really want to focus on me, but I'm just trying to give you an example. December 5th, we 12 midnight, move your cars. There's a fire next door. The flames on the roof of the house were 12 feet high when we got out. And by the way, I couldn't find my shoes, but my wife could. I mean, as wives do, everything else. And then years went on, and it went down. And thank heaven the person got out. And the Bangor Historic, the fire department did a historic job. And then then I offered to buy part of the land next door, 2014. Nah. In 2017, I made the offer again. And they said, well, what you've got to do, this is a carriage house. What it was a 1930s or 1940s garage. The carriage house was part of the house. I pointed that out to the city. And they said, well, you've got to, if you're going to buy the property, you've got to have the, you've got to preserve the exterior of this rotting garage. I said, I will. stupidly. Then what happened? Nah, we're gonna do an RFP. Okay, so then years later, they finally put it out for an RFP. I made numerous suggestions. Retain it, preserve the nature of the historic district. You know, look at Pond Street, try to equalize the historic district as an entity rather than as a single, rather than treat one piece of the historic district as of not too much value. I'm talking about in terms of factual rather than fictional. So this has been going on this has been going on. So I think what I hope, and all these rules and regulations and new changes in housing and new housing, et cetera, for God's sakes, look what you got before you lose it. Right next door, right across the street, there's the Bangor Theological Historic District. That house, that poor house is falling apart. It reminds me of the one next door that demised. When we made the stupid mistake of putting up vinyl siding, we weren't all that well acquainted with it. That was probably 30 years ago. The city put a stop on it. And the historic commission was toughies, very tough. So what did they do? They required us to put it cost us a couple of $1,000s. I mean, I'm talking about just the legal stuff. And they required us to put wooden, the guy who did the work, he was charged with putting back every piece of all the new wood on all of the vinyl, on every corner of the house and the barn, and the 34 windows had new wooden frames, so that it was completely compatible to the historic district. I mean, it's really remarkable that did that. So they were tough, except they were not tough with the city. They allowed the historic, you can't direct the city to do a thing, but you sure in hell can direct them, make recommendations and question when the city allows these properties to rot away. And that's exactly what is happening today. Now, in terms of the adjacent street, I don't know what that means, Mike.
You mean the setback of the building?
Yeah, no, I'm saying if it's like, I remember years ago, not years ago, it seems like years ago, that you were saying that, well, I don't want to get into the previous one. I mean, he's withdrawn his application, but it's, there's no matter what you build, unless it's an incredibly expensive, building, it's not going to, in my opinion, and I'm a real expert on this, it's not going to have any rhythm along Union Street, and why should it have rhythm along Union Street? It's outside of the historic district. And if you're going to do that, what you need to think about is you need to make decisions regarding the whole district, the whole historic district. I made just a little jot here about, if you want to do a standard for historic district for Whitney Park, then any new building has to be good enough to pass muster right next to Stephen King's house. What do you think of that?
Well, If I could speak about it just for a second, you make some good points. The standards that we talked about tonight that I reviewed are basically asking the applicant to prove to the commission that there's compatibility with where the house or the structure is going to be located. So for instance, the project that we're talking about came before the commission previously had a front elevation on Union Street, similar to the other house adjacent to.
Okay,
In the original house that was there, had a gable.
Okay.
to the street. So he could argue, he didn't, but he could argue, yes.
Yeah.
Being compatible to the neighborhood, the structure is oriented the same way. I have a porch on the front, like that porches up and down. the street. So
okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And what I'm asking you, this commission to consider is this. I remember Hiram saying, you know, this is our future. Quite a long time ago, you know, new buildings are our future. And I'm not opposed to new buildings, but I am opposed to devaluing a historic district as a whole. And that I am. And so you're referring to that, making that comparable to a neighborhood. And what I'm saying is that my house was years and years ago in 1870, it's the oldest house on Pond Street. It had much larger land. Okay. The Pond Street as a whole has got the less green spot in the whole area, and it's beginning to fall apart. Okay, so we can build houses all over the place, but then what's gonna happen is you're not gonna have a historic district unless you begin unless planning and the city of Bangor and the Historic Commission focuses on saying, okay, well, what are we going to recommend? How do we insist that the houses within the historic district have to meet standards? Or can the city help them meet standards? You know, and I think instead of reinforcing the past, when the historic district came in, I don't know how many, 30 years, 40 years ago, I don't know, maybe 35 years ago. Okay. It reinforced it imposed itself on unequal parts of the community of a historic district. Instead of, why can't we have planning that also considers that, okay, if we're going to value a historic district, how do we value a historic district? And that includes including some degree of flexibility in terms of the land. And so, because, and some green spots, et cetera, et cetera. I really believe that the city of Bangor is allowing, and the Historic Commission not speaking up and not, you know, if this is what you're all about, you are contributing to the destruction of the historic districts. I mean, that's too much of a statement. I mean, it's too much of a statement. But look, just come up, visit the historic district. Look at Pond Street. Look at some of the other street. You know, a good example. A good example is Haywood Street. The one side of Haywood Street, which has the oldest house in the historic Whitney Pond Historic District, I call it Broken Leg Lane. And what I mean by that is, if you try to walk along the sidewalk there, you could damn well break your leg. So anyway, what I'm saying is, I certainly will question this. And I also found, after 4 Freedom of Information requests, I haven't got to the fourth yet. I found things that I didn't like. So, and I don't think you would like it either. But anyway, ditto. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions?
No, thanks, Joe.
I've said.
I do have a question. I do have a question, but not of Joe.
Okay.
So part of the code, 148, that we referred to earlier this evening, says maintenance and repair required. Neither the owner of nor the person in charge of a structure within an historic district shall permit such historic structure or historic landmark to fall into a state of disrepair, which may result in the deterioration and so on and so forth. And yet, in the Whitney Park Historic District, we have one house that looks like, and Joe just referred to it, that looks like it's going to collapse. All the paint practically is off the house. So I think that we have another role besides the one we're doing, and that is to call to the attention of the people who own those houses, that's part of the responsibility of living in an historic house in an historic district, is maintaining the house. After a while, they get to the point where they almost can't be saved.
We've all heard the term demolition by
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about, Mike.
the slow process, you know. Being clear
Yeah.
of some of the buildings in Bangor, to a place where then it becomes. What you just cited in ordinance is something that the city's code office.
But and then we're going to ask them to please do so, because it's very problematic, and it's
That doesn't have to be a commission.
okay.
The ordinance states they're
Mhm.
required. I think, and doesn't the city have a general meeting?
Yep, we do.
Two ordinances. This states. So if it's deteriorating to that degree, that it's coming off, it's coming apart, that's where the goal. Especially if it's inhabited.
Oh, yes,
Okay, then
very. And the property that's for sale that was part of the Bangor Theological Seminary campus. That is the most beautiful property. I mean, the land itself is just magnificent. Have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, please go by it, because that campus is magnificent. But now, first one house, now there's going to be a second house that looks like the same thing is going to happen to it. So, and what wonderful housing that would make. You know, we're looking for housing. Wow. Those buildings at that Pond Street side of the campus, those could house 60, 70, 80 people. But they'd have to be put,
the dormitory.
yeah. So we've got this gift sitting in the middle, you know, of the town. At that,
Yeah, I mean, a request for inspection as to, meeting the property maintenance code. But another thing we could do in a more proactive way is maybe when your historic survey is completed, is to invite all property owners to a sort of an open house where we can talk to them about their particular house, because you'll have finished the survey and, to talk about the significance of it, to sort of in a more, positive way of, this is a significant piece of our story as a city, and here's why. When a property changes hands in the historic district, we do send a letter to the new owner, sort of welcoming them to Bangor, but also welcoming them to the historic district, and And maybe one thing we could do at a staff level is, if we have that information about that particular house, is to send it to them.
See, in Bangor, as the property goes down in maintenance, the taxes go down. So that's an incentive for many people to let their houses go. I mean, I've seen huge diminishment of taxes on some of these houses in historic districts. The taxes are cut in half. So the people just sit in their houses, and watch the taxes go down as they don't maintain it. So is there a way, Anne, that we could somehow or other reward people who are doing a magnificent job tax-wise with their houses instead of rewarding the ones who are not taking care of their houses?
Yeah, I meant to, and I just didn't have time to do it today, but I wanted to see where the bill is that is gonna extend the historic tax credit to residential. I don't know where that is. I think it's still in committee. I don't think it's come out of committee yet. But
So
that will
important.
be a huge boon for people. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, there's a cluster of them. And I think pretty sure that it's multifamily. I mean, maybe, perhaps the Shriners maybe they bought the whole campus. If they did, they're the owners of these houses that are. I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know. It's really worth looking into though, because
Yeah.
some of them are classic, gorgeous houses. And the barns have these beautiful windows, these old windows with the muntins, wood, large, gorgeous. Anyway, just a couple of things.
Just one more thought. What I'm saying is, if we could ever think, you were pointing out, Mike, that it has to relate to the various buildings aside one another. Is that about what you were saying? Okay, but that's part of the problem. Because if you're going to have a historic district, what is the criteria? What is the criteria for valuing the entire historic district? So there's some comparability, and I give an example, green spots, as one example, or how, not allowing everything rot away. I mean, it's really tragic about what's happening in the Bangor Theological thing, which I made some suggestions here a while back, in terms of that could be used for low-income housing. These are possibilities, et cetera.
Well, the classroom buildings have already been
Sorry, what?
it already is. It already is
That's
housing.
wonderful, but there's a couple.
Yeah. Mhm,
And there's also the bond.
mhm. Oh, the beautiful barn.
I
Mhm.
think that's still a possibility. If it could be, let me tell you, I think that the barn is in better shape than the building in front, but,
Yeah,
anyway.
I think that's right. Anyway, thank you, Liam.
Sure.
That-
All right. Well, I think our meeting has come to a close, so I'm going to adjourn us and thank you all for your service and contributions.
Right, thank you.